Right, guys, I need to take you out.
Yeah, we're past 9 o'clock.
Uh, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Oh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening. It is 3 minutes past 9. Time to gather in the music room and have a live stream and talk about movies. But first, a little music, as always. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proud we stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. Nice to see you all here. Hope you're all cozy, safe. I am. I hope you like the winter hat. I got this last year. This is a new hat for me. So anyway, a couple of pieces of party news before we start into the movie review. Finally, at long last, after much up and down, we finally got our booklet printed. All party members, of course, were sent an A4 form of this. Simply because it hadn't been printed. Well, finally, after much delay, it's now printed, and you will all be receiving copies of this booklet. This is the back cover, front cover. Okie doke. Yeah, I thought it was time to put the fire on, Toffee. Getting kind of cold, you know. So that's good news for that. And I want everyone to put a 1 in the chat for our Sensum. Sensum he had always promised to do this, and he is keeping his promise. He's going to send through enough money to buy another 100 of these books. So 1 in the chat for Sensum is definitely required, folks. That'll make the effort all the more worthwhile than it already is. Okie doke. If you're not a party member and you would like a copy of this book, send me an email with your postal address, your real name and postal address, and I will send you one. Okay? Otherwise, you need to become a party member. Okay, let's bring our guests on. And the man of the moment, Sensum. How you doing, Sensum?
Hello, mate. Yeah, you didn't have to say anything about that. I thought it was just between us, but very kind of you to do that. I shall get that straight over to you. And whose pick was this tonight, this Rocky film?
William.
What an absolute charlatan. It's only probably one of my favourite films ever. I love this film. I must have watched it about 10 times, even in recent memory, and I watched it again tonight, so it was fresh in my mind. I love it that much. It's a really, really great film. So, you know, it's a great pick. I love this film. It's one of my favourites. So
the reason I made that information public, Sensum, is because I think it's deserved that you get a bit of recognition for what you've done. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I know we never talked about it, but I think you deserve to be recognised for the extra that you've put into this. There we go. We've got Sensum. William, good evening, sir.
All right.
Is that it?
Yep, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Okay.
Good to be back, John. Good to be back. And yeah, I like the hat. Very,
like
very,
that.
very, very, very fitting.
Thank you.
Do you know? I actually know. It's probably the worst dad joke in history, and it goes something like, "What did one hat say to the other? You wait here, and I'll go on ahead."
Oh.
I'll see myself out.
Well, here is the other hat then. Here is my son Samuel. Good evenings.
Good evening. Good evening. Hello, hello.
Right. We're waiting on Eki That's who we're waiting on. Eke. That's a new name on this channel. Justin Devoe. That's a
Yeah,
lady.
that's Justine. She's
She's
one of my
lovely.
yeah, great person.
She
Yeah.
has her own channel as well, John. So if you're not subbed to Justine, she doesn't post very often, but when she does, it's always from the heart and it's always sincere. So please give Justine a sub. It's much
Will
deserved.
do. Will do. Does she? I'll speak to her personally then. Where I should. There we are. Good evening, Justine. Do you ever guest on anyone else's stream? Would you like to guest on this channel? Let me know. And we'll make that happen. If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Just
she would be a great guest for you to get on. I think she's been on one or two in the past, so maybe. I mean, I'm not. I can't speak for Justine, but I think yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, she can think about it. She could suss me out, see if she wants to come on the channel. Oh, there she is. I have twice. She says. It was a little nerve-wracking on one. Ethan the Elephant, good evening. Well, I'll do my best to make it friendly for you, Justy, if you want to come on. Most people don't find it nerve-wracking on this channel. I don't know about other channels, but certainly not here. But I take your point. If you're not used to it, it can be a bit, daunting at times. Depends on what you're going to talk about, of course. Anyway, we're missing Eke, but I think we should just push on ahead. He might turn up a bit later, as he sometimes does. Well, that's it, Sensor. We are all friends here.
Typical American.
Well, they've got an election going on, supposedly. Okay, we'll start with you, William, as you were the person who chose this.
Yeah, my choice. So people can
Your choice,
blame me.
right?
But yeah, I reckon the first and foremost thing is I wanted to pick a movie that would be well known to people. I think you would be hard pushed to find anybody who's not seen Rocky. So I thought, right, documentaries crossed my mind, and I did mention on a stream that I'd done, but boxing's got a bit of a tie-in with my childhood, growing up to my early teens, because my dad was a coach, and he started coaching when I would have been 7-year-old, and I couldn't join the club until I was 9. So there was like a age gap, but my dad would take me every Saturday. So he would clean up, he would hoover the club and stuff like that, and I would get to punch my brother about in the ring while he done the hoovering and what have you. So, but then when I was 9, I registered at the club, and I went on to have a couple of fights in Scottish amateur boxing. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed. I did one thing I never enjoyed was hurting people. I eventually knew that it wasn't a sport for me. But everything apart from the hurting people, I really liked it. It had a big community feel to it. It was like everybody was like your brother. It was great for discipline, great for fitness. And I always recommend it to people if they've got a child who's a bit of a tearaway, maybe similar to what I was like. Get them to the boxing. They don't have to fight, but they can learn a lot from it. And I remember thinking back, anytime I would go, and obviously my dad was the coach, and people would be like, "Oh, your dad's the coach. You'll probably get away with stuff and get to do whatever you like." But anytime I acted up, I would get it tight from my dad. So he would be like setting an example. He'd be like, right, 50 press ups, 20 pull ups, or what have you.
Oh,
So I would get a proper beasting for mucking about. But it was good for that as well. I went a lot of my once I started going regular, I got a lot of my friends to go, and it helped them throughout their kind of growing up period. You learn how to fight, you learn a bit of discipline, you meet people. I've hardly got a bad word to say about boxing. So Rocky was I thought, quite a fitting choice and a great movie as well.
excellent. Sensum, what's your thoughts on Rocky? Just gently into it. We've got a long way to go here, my friend.
I think that when I first saw Rocky would be probably the first time it was shown on terrestrial TV, which would probably be, I'm guessing here, or certainly the time I saw it was probably be just ahead of the release of Rocky 3, because on the cinema, which I think was about 83. And I think that they did, because obviously the promo guys and that did some work, and I'm pretty sure it was both were on BBC, which was Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, and that they came out on the terrestrial TV the week before Barry Norman did the review of Rocky 3. And that's when I first saw them. And obviously, even then, I don't think we didn't have a video recorder back then. So it was a film. It was a film that me and my dad enjoyed together, because in the early 80s, like the very late 70s and early 80s, I can still remember staying up to watch some of the fights, because all of the fights were broadcast on terrestrial TV because Sky, etc., didn't exist. So if you were prepared to stay up till sort of the wee hours, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning to watch a world championship boxing fight, then you could watch it. So I remember distinctly watching when Ali fought Larry Holmes, which was, Ali should never have fought that fight, in fairness. And Larry Holmes, at the end of it, was in tears because he didn't want to beat him. But that's the kind of era. And I remember watching it with my dad. And when we watched that, my dad wasn't a bloke who went to the pictures. He was a chap. He wasn't his thing. He didn't mind films, but he liked them in his own company. But he said there and then, he goes, "We're going to have to go and watch that Rocky 3. It's going to be brilliant, isn't it?" And we did, and it was, because even though it's a bit more glitzy, a bit more kitschy than the first two, it's such a great series. I enjoyed. I think I've enjoyed an aspect of every one of the Rocky films, right the way through to Rocky Balboa, which was the one he did when he was in his late years, and then the continuation of the Creed films, because they're great, they're good fun. They're highly improbable, like the story of the Rocky 1 film, but it didn't matter because you believed it, and it's that sort of. And I can imagine at the time, because in the time in the States, it's around about the same time that films like Fort Apache, The Bronx were coming out, where they were showing main life, American life, being in pretty grimy and dingy conditions for the most part of people. And, this was the same thing, but at least it gave an essence of hope as well. And obviously America was just coming out of the Vietnam War as well. So they needed a bit of inspiration. They needed a bit of hope. And Rocky was that for me. And I just think it's a wonderful film. It's got so many positive things going for it, and in the shadow of abject poverty in a lot of cases. So what a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Okay, Doc. Okay, Samuel, what have you got to say as an intro? for Rocky?
It's really good. No, it's a surprising film because on the surface it's just this feel good, unlikely story of a everyday guy living the American dream in a way. But it's got a lot of good layers to it, and it stands the test of time. And it's wonderfully written, wonderfully directed, phenomenally acted. I don't think it really gets the kudos it gets for the acting because a lot of people make fun of Sylvester Stallone, and that's somewhat warranted outside of his signature roles. But here he's phenomenal because in many ways he's writing about himself because obviously he wrote this whilst he was out of work and almost in the streets of LA. So he put his life and soul into this film, and it shows. It's a really good film.
Excellent. Okay, William. What did you think of the music score for this one?
Well, hard to knock the music, to be honest. Dare I say the music was knockout? Would that be a fitting term? Do you know, I don't think there's many films I could come away from it and say that music was fucking epic.
Uh-huh.
But the music, I mean, the theme in particular, it would outlive anything probably, and it's like a timeless tune that'll go on for eternity. Yeah, not a bad word to say about it, to be honest. But I tend to more focus on the acting and the storyline. The music only stands out from time to time. I think in the final fight, the build up to it, it kind of stands out. But yeah, I can't knock it. I can't remember the guy who wrote it, but Sensum will probably know him. What a job he done! Outstanding. And judging by the budget, he probably never got paid that much to begin with. But I'd imagine he's made his money now.
Oh yeah, I would think so. How about you, Samuel? What did you think of the music through the first movie?
It's really good. It hits the fights. It hits the dramatic moments with the characters. It lifts you up. It pulls you down in the sad parts, and it's perfect in what it's trying to do. It's part of the film in every sense. It's not just tacked on. It's not some cool music for the sake of it. It does the job, and yeah, it's a good score. It's a good score. Although Eye of the Tiger itself is obviously not in until Rocky 3.
Sure. I take it you have the same thoughts then, Sensum, on the music front.
Yeah, Bill Conti absolutely knocked it out of the park on that one. But I mean, Bill Conti's fantastic. He did the music also for The Right Stuff, which I think was 82, about the men going to the moon, which, you know, is a true story, as William will tell you. And then he won Oscars. He won an Oscar for that, by the way. The Right Stuff. I think he won an Oscar for Rocky as well, Bill Conti.
Yeah.
And he then went on to do the music for The Karate Kid, which is another fantastic soundtrack.
Sure.
And
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, Bill Conti. For many years, Bill Conti directed the musical procession, if you like, you know, the orchestra for the Oscars for many years. Yeah, he was the orchestrator and also the conductor for the Oscars awards, particularly in the late 70s and the early 80s, and then it was taken over by another famous composer conductor. But yeah, he did the music for, like I say, he did Rocky, he did The Right Stuff, and he also did The Karate Kid. But he also did the music. The series was pretty good actually, but it was one of the best television series. Music was a mid-80s television series starring Patrick Swayze, and it was called North and South, and it was about the Civil War. And he composed the music for North and South, and that's probably one of the most beautiful scores you'll ever hear. What a fantastic piece of music. Bill Conti, in my opinion, can do no wrong, and he is much deserving of I think it's 2 or 3 Oscars that he won for his film scores. Like I say, you know, funnily enough, a few years ago now, when myself, Bonnie Ladd, and Tam, Bonnie Ladd used to do the odd sort of themed stream. And one of the themes he was doing was a boxing evening to talk about the various boxers, etc. And he was going to use the Rocky movie, but when he uploaded the intro, it did him straight away for copyright. And it wasn't just because he said, if it's just a copyright notice, in other words, you can't make any money from this video, which is fair enough because he wasn't monetized anyway.
Sure.
But it gave him a copyright strike, so he couldn't use that music. So he said, can you do something that's a bit Rocky-ish? So I had this ham-boiled sort of weak apparition of a Rocky-style tune. It sort of worked. Yeah, but I say the music, when you think about the Rocky films, probably up to the 4th, I would say. Rocky 5 wasn't, that was a bit of an anomaly, that one. We'll ignore that one. But the music, I mean, the soundtrack for Rocky 4 was probably better than the film in a lot of respects. Some absolutely great tracks. And Eye of the Tiger was a era-defining tune. But the main tune that, you know, all the way through, you know, the fanfare with the trumpets and the French horns,
Sure.
just you only have to hear 1 or 2 bars and you know immediately that you're watching a Rocky film. You might not know which one it is, but you know exactly that you're watching a Rocky film.
That's for sure. That's actually for sure. Okay. I don't think we're going to have much controversy on this stream tonight. Now, before we go any further,
well, I could add something by saying that Rocky 5's better than people say.
any comments?
It was okay. The disheartening thing for me is that it had Tommy Morrison in, who was an actual real boxer, who was probably one of the hardest hitting boxers, and because of his lifestyle, he could have been one of the true greats, Tommy Morrison, and he unfortunately got AIDS.
Yeah.
Because of his lifestyle. So good film, a little bit hackneyed, but like I say, you know, it wasn't of the same, in my opinion, it wasn't of the same nature, but it wasn't, you know, it was more of a life thing with Keith David, another favourite actor of our good friend That's Life But Not As You Know It from his They Live days, playing a parody of a Don King type promoter.
Yeah.
But yeah. Not, I would rank that probably the lowest out of all of them, if I'm being fair. So
Okay. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but I was asked if I would allow Streaky to come on and talk Rocky, as Eki has not shown up. Has anyone got any objections?
I think it's only fair that we allow on stream a Welshman who has the Welsh have produced some absolutely superb champions in their time, and so I think we should let Streaky in, because one of the most underrated fighters of modern times, who was one of the greatest fighters, is Joe Calzaghe. So get Streaky in. Let him play the Calzaghe corner.
Okay. I have no idea who you're talking about, but
No, you can't say that. One of the greatest of all time.
yes, I can't say that. There you go, Streaky. Who was it? There was another. Oh no, he was an Irishman, wasn't he? His dad used to come on and sing before he started his fights. Who was that? No.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Can't remember the dad coming on and singing. Probably
His
Tyson
dad,
Fury's dad had a bit of traveller in him, didn't he? So Big John. I can't remember,
Was it?
to be honest. It wasn't McGuigan.
That's
It
it.
was McGuigan. Was it? I know that he was either in a title fight or a defending title fight, and because he's not Northern Irish, so it is, and the anthem that they was Danny Boy, and they got
That's
the music wrong because they were going to play the Republic of Ireland one, and they said can't play that. So because they didn't have any available, he came on and sang Danny Boy because it wouldn't have been appropriate otherwise.
I thought he always sang that.
No, I think it was just because they didn't realise he was a Northern Irishman, and that doing the Irish national anthem wouldn't probably be a good thing. And so somebody came on. I didn't realise it was his dad, but I do realise came on and sang Danny Boy ahead of it.
That was his dad. There he is. Can we have a sound check, Streaky?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Oh, nice one, lads. I'm sorry. I always get issues whenever I dip in and out the streams and that. Yeah, just when it was advertised last week about Rocky, it was very when we were young. It was a bit too early for me. I think it was 76, wasn't it? When Rocky come out. It was like more the era for me was Rocky 3 when we were young, and VHS pirate videotapes and everybody punching each other after they watched it. But the best film for me was the first Rocky, how it was captured with the filming as well. The gloominess of Philadelphia. There was a lot of rain, and it was just the general mood. The atmosphere. I don't know the producers or anything. I know like a few of the stars. Talia Shire, who played the Adrian. Burgess Meredith. He's a decent actor, and I forget the old boy I played Mickey. But you had that beautiful 70s. The background music was just like a slow violin over certain scenes, and the poverty of Italian excuse me, Philadelphia and the Italian hoods. It was just a lovely scene, and I think you found that the score of the music and the scene at the time, it was not dissimilar to the Godfather films. For me, Rocky 1 was the better film. Rocky 2 was another great film. It was really great. Yeah, I seen Rocky. Loved Rocky 3. Rocky 4. I couldn't even be bothered. Oh yeah, I remember seeing it, but it was East against West. And that was in mid-80s. I'd already clocked what bullshit all this was anyway. Like, so But it sort of after Rocky 3 it peaked. But yeah, Rocky 1 was the best film for me. So that's all I've got to say on the subject, lads.
Okay, I'll start with you, William. What did you make of the acting quality?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think to pick someone out, do you know, I think a lot, like, apart from the main character, I think a lot of people would go to, is it Paulie? He was called, the guy Bert.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it was Talia. I thought she played Adrian. I thought she played the role really well in this whole shy character who kind of comes out of her shell while being seduced by the Italian stallion who has worse jokes than me. but he gets there anyway. But it's like she done that really well. But I think she also done well with the. Do you know when she was fighting with her brother in the house and they were arguing? I think even at Christmas time, and there was the whole throwing the turkey with the Thanksgiving turkey, throwing it out the door. And I think there was a connection there. Maybe it was just me, but you know, family and when your family's mixing with friends, and it doesn't matter what occasion, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday, you name it, there's going to be trouble, pretty much guaranteed, or a bit of an argument. And I thought she played it really well, never out of character, totally flawless. For me, I know a lot of people say Stallone was really good in it. He was good, but I don't think he was great. And it's a tough one because I know it was very early in his career, and he wrote the script, and I know the producers wanted. I think they actually wanted Redford to begin with.
Yeah.
I think they wanted Redford as the main character, but Stallone was determined that it would be him. So they went with it, and I think the deal was that the budget wouldn't be big, and the budget, as far as I could see, it was only like $1 million, which is staggering, considering it
it's
made.
Actually less, William.
Yeah, I think just under $1 million, and it made like 200 odd. It grossed over 200, which is quite incredible when you think about it. I mean, the movie.
I always complained. I have written to Stallone constantly, asking where my share was. Never got a reply.
Quite right. Worth a try, I suppose, right? But yeah, I did read as well, which I found quite astonishing. It had been. They finished it in 28 days. And it was complete, which I thought was, when you put it all together, for it, the money that was spent, the time it took, and the fact that it is a timeless classic now is quite astonishing, to be honest. But you know, when Stallone played in the movie Copland, I thought the part he played in that, I thought was absolutely, it was flawless. And it was Stallone at his best, I thought. So maybe I've got that in my mind where I'm comparing it. But yeah, hey, it was great. I can't knock it. That would probably be my only kind of criticism where, I mean, I'd imagine he had a lot of pressure at the time as well. So maybe that was showing a wee bit. I'm not sure, it might have helped. Some people might have thought, but yeah, I thought it was great. I can hardly knock it, to be honest. And when you consider the budget and the time, it's like, holy moly, quite astonishing.
Yeah, because from Stallone's point of view, everything is riding on it. He probably sees his whole future in movies on it because of the fact that he wrote the whole thing. You know, there's a lot
Yeah.
on in that.
Oh, definitely. Do you know there's one part where he's talking, he's in the pet shop and there's a cage of budgies and he says, look, they look like candy. And do you know, ever since then, I'd watched that the first time, I'd never looked at a budgie the same.
So, what do you think, Samuel? Who would you point to anyone out as being better than anyone else amongst the central players?
I think at the time, Talia Shire is probably the premier actor in this. She's definitely the one that stands out the most on camera. She brings the powerful monologues, the inspirational speeches, the massive support for Rocky at the key points throughout all 5 films. And by the end, you know, I think she's just as much part of that film as Sylvester Stallone is for all time, as much as she's famous for Godfather. She is very much Mrs. Rocky Balboa. And she's, you know, forever known for the Adrian ending, you know, the Adrian Rocky and I Love You. And she does it really, really well. And for the time, she would have been probably the person on top. Obviously, you've got Burt Young, who was kind of a character actor. Stallone, a complete unknown, essentially. Burgess Meredith, the old guard veteran that they would have brought in for his acting chops and a bit of respectability on the cast list. And outside of that, again, it's mostly unknowns. So easily Talia Shire. She's so good, so good.
Cecil, what's your thoughts on the acting?
There's one character actor in I think it's the first 3 he appears. It's a fella called Joe Spinell, and he's a character actor. He always used to show up in mobster films and any kind of Italian link films, and he played Rocky's boss, like, you know, the loan shark who Rocky used to go out. But his character, the reason why I liked his character is because when people talk about loan sharks, they were like people who were like evil buggers, and he was saying, "Why don't you break his thumb?" sort of thing. A lot of them, even though the nature of the business that they were in, they did have this sort of an undercurrent of having a bit of a heart, having a bit of a soft spot, and that's always been the way. I mean, you know, in the second film, which we may come to at some point in the future, but in the second film, as an idiot, he often does, he blows all of his money, and this guy helps him out by buying, I think he buys a Pontiac Trans Am or something like that, and he ends up buying it off him so he can give him a bit of money. So I like those kind of characters, and the bloke who, right at the very beginning, when you see Rocky in the ring as a sort of a journeyman professional, which most professionals are journeymen, and there's a fantastic article, it's still available now on BBC Sports, about which is the life of a journeyman boxer, and they talk about how they are there to make up and coming boxers look good without trying to get hurt, because they may be expected to fight more than once a month. You know, they're none of this business. So, and he said, like, you know, we're told, like, you know, sometimes the managers will get in touch and say, look, you know, he's a great boxer, but he isn't ring wise. So, you know, put a couple in his spuds, which means like hit him in the balls a couple of times just to show him what boxing can be all about. You know, a bit of the old dirty stuff and that. But you're expected. You're not. He said, look, he said, we don't go in there to lose. He says, but we're not expected to win. There's a difference. Yeah, journeyman boxers. I mean, is the game rigged? Who's to say? I'm certain boxing events have been rigged in the past, but most journeyman boxers, they're clearly not there to win, but they're not there to lose either. You know, they're there to put in a good performance without getting hurt badly themselves. So they will take the knee, and a referee will sort of count them out, because unlike the boxer who's there, who's the up and coming, you know, world beater, they'll have to, you know, they'll get an extra 6 months before their next fight, whereas these guys will probably get, you know, 6 days or 6 weeks or something, you know. So, but it's really interesting. It's a really interesting thing. But the guy who he's fighting at the beginning, who puts the nut in on Rocky, cuts his eye at the beginning, and that's what triggers Rocky, because in his heart, like what William was saying earlier on, he said, you know, I used to enjoy the training, and I used to enjoy the boxing camaraderie and the sparring and that, but it wasn't really in my heart to hurt anybody. And it was only when Rocky, he put the nut in on Rocky, that got his vent up, got his anger up, basically, where he sort of basically knocked him out. Well, that bloke in that fight there, the latter Rocky Balboa, when he was in his later years, and he's running Adrian's restaurant. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
Yeah.
But there's one of the ones where there's a bloke who's eating for free, and Burt Young, who's the ever-present Paulie, walks in. He goes, "Why have you got this bum here?" He goes, "Spider, he was a great fighter." That's the guy from the first round in the first Rocky film.
That's it.
So nice little bit,
Spider Rico.
yeah, nice little bit of continuity there. So yeah, but that's the nice things, and I think Stallone actually got an Oscar for the writing of Rocky. I don't think he did the screenplay, but he wrote it. So I think he got the Oscar for either best film or best writing, but he certainly won an Oscar for Rocky. And I think, I can't remember if it was in between Rocky and Rocky 2. He did another film that he co-wrote with his brother Frank, because Frank's one of the singers. Frank Stallone is one of the, you know, the guys who stood around the old dustbin warming their hands and singing. That's Frank Stallone. That's Sylvester Stallone's brother. And they did a film together called Paradise Alley, which is a very, very underrated film.
Seen that.
And yeah, it's a really, really good film. But obviously, it didn't have the cachet of a world championship boxing fight. So it didn't perform as well, but it was equally well written. So yeah, I you know, that's just a really, really, it's a good film, because it shows ordinary working life people who are struggling and making good on being given a chance, you know. And that's in those days in America, that's all people wanted, you know, just give me a chance and I'll prove myself. And that was always the way, wasn't it? That was the American dream, shall we say, which is what Apollo Creed says.
Exactly. Pardon me.
Yeah, it was up for. It was nominated for best screenplay. Didn't win, but it was up for a nomination. It won best picture and best director, best editing.
What I also enjoyed about the film was from Carl Weathers and his aspect of the film, and the black promoters and his wife, and seeing it also from their side. And you couldn't do a film like this now, 50 years on. You couldn't do a film. Could you imagine now a film where you had to ask the American people to root for a white underdog against a black hero? That would never ever happen now. It's just a total juxtaposition of society now. This would never happen. But yeah, just to add to what Talia Shire. For me, I know her from obviously the Godfather films, but it's in Rocky and she was the total opposite of Rocky. He was quite brash and a tough guy, and yet she was working with animals, and she had the glasses on, and the old lady hat and the stockings, and she was the opposite. And it was, yeah. So that's all I got to say on the matter, lads. But all around, it was yeah, I was impressed with definitely impressed with the cast, like the black guys in it, and they were, they didn't come, and they come across like human. They come across exactly the same as us. It wouldn't be like that in you couldn't imagine in Floyd Mayweather's camp now, and the family and everything. But the promoters and the promoters, and yeah, it was it seemed very realistic, and it probably was in the late 70s. That probably was, but it'd be like a fucking clown show now. Sorry, that's all I'll say on the matter.
Well, I agree with Toffee. I think you made an excellent point about that, because that wouldn't happen now. As you say, you wouldn't get a white hero like that, and an underdog coming out on top, especially against a black man. And as you say, the black characters all the way through the series, I might add, were treated humanely. I mean, they all came over as individual human beings with their own ups and downs, etc. And that was pretty good for Stallone to get that aspect into the movie when you think about it. So, well,
it was, you didn't, for me, it wasn't okay, you wanted Rocky to win, yeah, but if this happened now, I'd be wanting the Rocky to absolutely annihilate the guy, because for obviously reasons.
Sure.
But at that time, and when they drew or he just lost the match, you didn't feel like you wanted Carl Weathers to be battered. Apollo Creed, you didn't want him battered. You didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. You had respect for the man, and so it tied in. There was no polarization for me in the film. It was just a well written film. Whatever. Sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was interesting when you look back on it today, and although Apollo's this black individual, a man of colour, I'm unsure what to say these days, but he was portrayed as Mr. America, so he's coming out as I think George Washington. So he's coming out as George Washington, and he's like Uncle Sam. And I loved the bit where he's like, I want you, like the poster. I want you. And Rocky's like, is he talking to me? Is he talking to me? I love that bit. But yeah, it's interesting looking back.
The shots of the American flag.
But I think at that time also, USA was fairly unified. This was before the Poison come in the 80s and 90s. At that time, America was fairly unified. There was obviously quite a difference in racial statistics, demography, and the media. So the Poison hadn't set in. So I think that's why the film floated nicely at that time. It couldn't have been done 20 years on, You had a feeling for both the tribes in the field in the film. You would have feel for everybody. Like you could empathize and react with black characters, white characters, the rich, poor. There wasn't that much rich people in there, but you could get a feeling from all these characters, and no, unfortunately, this film couldn't be made. It went down well when there was better racial harmony in the 70s. If it wouldn't have been a success film 20 years after the 70s. It just couldn't have. It couldn't be done.
No, I think you brought out an excellent point and an excellent aspect of the film that isn't spoken about too often. So well done, you, Streaky,
Thanks.
for that. Appreciate that. You see, that means I don't have the question about, well, is Apollo a villain? Is he really the villain of the piece? Have we really got a villain? Anyone?
Good question. Good question.
No, I don't think there is nobody in that film that could be vilified. No, and you usually find with most films there's no like drama without conflict or contrast, but yeah, I can't see no, John, I don't think there was anybody. There's nobody. You could say people beat in the ring wanting Carl Evans to get up and beat Rocky, but you can nothing. Nobody you could vilify. So I think that's testament to a good movie. And I can't think of anybody.
I think unicorn has got it. He's used the correct word. Use the word rival. I think that's more appropriate. Apollo and Rocky are really rivals.
Yeah, I would agree. But for me, I still wanted Rocky to knock him out. And when it was a split decision and he'd lost, I thought, bugger. I was kind of hoping he'd win, but more because I like to back the underdog. But I wouldn't say there was a villain. I'd agree.
No, I don't think there is. Well, if there is any villain, I suppose we could say it's time because it's against Rocky.
And when I watched it back, I kind of thought Rocky did win. To be honest, looking at the fight, I was thinking that is typical of boxing. The wrong man won. It was for me it should have went. The decision should have went with Rocky, but I think the main point of the film was he got there to the last 15 rounds against a guy who no one could go that pace against them, and not just go the pace, but bloody gave it a good show, a good effort. And for me, if I was a judge, it would have been a win for Rocky. But there you go.
Well, does he not break his ribs? It gives
I think he did definitely injure his ribs. You could see he was protecting his ribs towards the end. Yeah. But I did read, I did read that in that scene they tried to throw as many real punches as they possibly could, and I think it was Rocky. Stallone had actually received a bruised rib in filming and had to go to the hospital. So they done it well.
He bruised his heart. He actually bruised his heart. Stallone did.
Yeah, well,
he got punched, actually bruised his heart. Yeah, when he was filming it.
So they tried to make it as real as they could. In the very first fight,
they properly battered each other like.
Yeah, in the very first fight as well, when I was looking back on that, I mean, they done that really good, the angles, and it looked proper real. And I was thinking, kind of comparing it to, in particular, the boxing you get at the Olympic Games. It was like better than that. the Olympic Games boxing looked like it was an act. And the film that Rocky done looked more realistic in my view, so I don't know how much of that was real in the first scene, but that was a good fight as well.
Can you imagine if they based the Rocky these days on the Olympic boxing, where that female transgender against the woman, and everybody's supporting Rocky the transgender, and Rocky the transgender is smacking fuck out of these women like a drunk
Oh, no.
from the Weatherspoons on a Friday.
Don't-
That'll be the next film. That'll be 2025's Rocky 7.
Yeah, don't give them ideas. Don't.
Rocky's
you
Rocky's got a skirt on in a pet shop. So he's chatting up his oh, Jesus Jones, I don't want to think of it. I want to think of waterfalls and keep the memory clean.
Oh gosh. The first Rocky movie I saw was Rocky 3, and I was incredibly impressed by the fight scene because it looked so realistic.
Yeah.
And I'd seen a whole load of boxing films, throughout my life. Paul Newman did it. Somebody up there likes me, and a few other people. But the fighting scenes were never as realistic as they are in those films. I mean, they actually look as though they're throwing punches. The punches look quite often as though they're hitting the other person. So, incredibly well done. But I'm sure I read somewhere that they spent a long time doing those sequences to get it right.
Yeah, they were good fights. Was that Mr. T and the Russian guy?
Yeah.
Number
Mr.
three.
Superb.
Yeah,
Rocky 3 was
Yeah.
superb.
Clubber
The fight
Lang.
scenes in Rocky 3 were amazing, and
Yeah.
especially when they, when they were going down and the blood coming out. Obviously, it was a bit over the top, but they were absolutely spot on scenes with Clubber Lang, and what a part he played in Rocky 3, Mr. T. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
that was a superb film, and spot on film. That
Yeah.
was they peaked for me, them three films. When I went to Rocky 4 and he had to fight the Russian, and like I say, that was the mid-80s, and I clocked all that bullshit, against the fucking Russians are the enemies by then. So so I didn't appreciate that, but the fight scenes in Rocky 3 was spot on, especially when it showed Clubber Lang going through his 10 or 12 fights till he got to be the world champion. Just all them short clips of him fucking
Yeah.
battering people was spot on. I think it was in 1983 that was out, Rocky 3.
Yeah, so definitely in the 80s. As I say, it was the first time I had been in the cinema for many, many years. I had returned to my old habit of just walking in without looking at what movies were being shown. So I hit a brilliant double bill that day. I saw Rocky 3 with Clubber Lang, and the second feature was Airplane. Brilliant.
yeah. The comedy Aeroplane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Superb.
good film.
Superb.
Don't call me
Airplane,
Shirley.
yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, the fight scene were just incredibly realistic, I thought.
When the press asked Clubber Lang what does he predict for the fight, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
turned to the camera and he said pain.
Yeah.
And
What
give
a
the
what
meanest
was
look.
that?
And I think he was Muhammad Ali's bodyguard as well, wasn't he, Clubber Lang, in
Was
in
it?
real life?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a bodyguard for Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
But that was another spot on film, and that was a mean opponent. That was the one you wanted to see Rocky batter. You wanted to see him kill. Carl Weathers, you didn't mind him, you didn't mind Rocky losing, but you wanted him to batter Clubber Lang, and it peaked for me. The Rocky films, that was it. They peaked at number 3.
Yeah. Well, that was Mr. T's big opportunity to get into acting and movies, and he didn't let himself down. That was for sure. Oh, there's James. Good evening, James Hayworth. Nice to see you here. Ironically, wasn't it Airplane that had a Rocky 36 poster? Yeah, that's right. It's good. Yeah, it's a bit. I forgot about that one, James. Rocky 36. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. So, I'll start with you, Samuel. If there was any weakness in this film, where would you point to?
Oh, that's a good one. Perhaps the Mickey character and his relationship with Rocky, because it's slightly forced. They're coming together after Mickey tosses him out of his locker and basically tells Rocky to beat it. He's a bum. He's not wanted in the gym, and then he becomes his trainer because he sees it as his opportunity for redemption and having purpose again and all that kind of thing. It felt slightly forced. It's a minor thing. It still works, but that's the only crack I can find in the film. It's just it just felt slightly forced for the sake of the film moving forward, to give him a trainer that we grow to love.
Well, I would take issue with you if, and only if, there had been dialogue between the two of them. You remember when Mickey's trudging away home and Rocky comes running out after him?
Yeah. If there's perhaps more,
I think the genius touch there was the fact we don't hear what's said between the two of them.
Yeah.
But it must have been something
Yeah.
special to overcome that bridge.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the aspect where because they're on a limited budget, limited time, and Stallone is constantly having to adjust the script for various things that happened, and he had to really juggle on the fly. I think the film could have done with some more interactions between them. Definitely. And who doesn't want more Burgess Meredith?
Oh, absolutely. That's for sure.
The guy's like a pit bull in that role. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You could imagine him as a boxer in his youth. You know.
Instead of being a penguin.
Yeah, well, phenomenal penguin.
Quite. So no one seems to have any criticisms of this film. Am I correct in saying that, folks?
Correct.
And to go back to an earlier point, if there was a villain, and again it's splitting hairs, it would be Paulie, because he's the character that, for a large part of the first film, you don't like because you don't understand his full story. But for the purposes of the first film, Paulie is the closest you have to a villain, and then he becomes a very sad, tragic, pathetic character that you just want to hug and let him cry. You
know. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I agree. Paulie is quite unlovable. Yeah, I agree.
But the thing is, he remains unlovable even into Rocky IV, doesn't he? Because he's always
Yeah, he has no
he always feels
redeeming.
like somebody owes him
Yeah,
something. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. He's got no. He's got There's nothing lovable about him. He's got no redeeming features. I think,
No.
if anything, Johnny, a criticism of the movie, they could have added a little something into the background. Why he's constantly angry at his sister. Yeah, maybe, but that's a small pick. But yeah, I think could probably develop his character a bit more. But
I think with that point, I think they try and just get over the fact that he drinks a lot. He's probably an alcoholic, and that's why he's stereotypically nasty and mean. And then over the course of certainly the first 4 films, they flesh out his character to the point where he becomes a sympathetic figure at the end. When he does say to him that he loves him, and he's sorry for what he's done.
And he also plays quite a poignant part in the Rocky Balboa film, because Rocky goes every day to visit Adrian's grave, and even though it doesn't put him in a good light, he just basically says, Rock, I can't do this all the time anymore. You need to start living your life again. Don't live in the past. So there are certain elements to Paulie which are despicable and despisable, but there are also certain moments where you sort of get him as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a very well played out character that's spanned literally like the neck end of 50 years, hasn't it? So fair play. Yeah.
I never seen anything past Rocky V. So what happened? Does Adrian bite it in the end? Does she?
Well, I think I'll tell you something now, Streaky. I'm not saying anything out of turn, or at least I hope I don't say I am. Stallone came back when he was in his late years, and he started doing sort of later year Rambo films, and they were quite brutal and very good. But the film called Rocky Balboa, and I don't know exactly when it came out, probably mid 2015, 2000, between 2010.
I remember it being advertised or something. Yeah.
It's worth a watch, mate. It's a good film. It's
Really?
worth watching. Yeah, it's a good film. It's worth watching, mate. Yeah, it is pretty good. It's better than 5. It's probably better than 4 if we're being picking straws. But it's not what you're expecting, mate. It's not shit. It's pretty.
All
good
right, then
film.
I might have butchers at that. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, no consensus. Yeah.
I was trying to get in the fact that Adrian's brother, I think part of his problems is that he doesn't have a woman in his life. And I see James here as saying another aspect of that same idea in jealousy of losing his sister, which would then he's on his own.
Good.
And he's quoting here, James.
Good point by James. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
You're
that's why he's
busted.
harassing his sister so much. Yeah.
Knowing that she has lost her virginity to Rocky, he says to her, "You're busted." Now, I certainly didn't take up with that piece of dialogue, but it struck me as that the two of them, what they have in common, apart from being brother and sister, is that they're alone. There's no romance in their life.
It's
Yeah,
a pity. It's a pity they were Muslims. They might have found romance.
to be honest, I never seen it in the way of jealousy, because Paulie was pushing the relationship. He was the one that was like, look, go talk to her, take her out. You're funny, go for it. And pushing Rocky when Rocky was trying to walk away. And I kind of looked at it more in the way of Paulie might have felt or went through life with his younger sister being a bit of a burden on him.
Could be. You could take it. You could read it that way too. Yeah.
I thought he was being malicious and cruel, expecting her to be really, really shy, embarrassed, do something clumsy and make things worse and make fun of her. I took it as he was setting her up for a fall.
You could read it that way also.
Yeah, I see what you're
I
saying.
think there was, if you remember in the film as well, all the way up to the point before Rocky got the fight with Apollo, Paulie was pushing his sister onto Rocky, you know, but as soon as Rocky got the fight and they were watching the television together, and one of the the TV presenter says, "What will it be like earning $150,000?" When Paulie heard that, that's when it changed from being, one of, you need to get out, you need to find yourself a life, to one of, I'm going to lose out here. That's when it switched, and there was a notable switch from being, get out, go and find yourself a man, you'll be no good, you're nearly 30, to one of, yeah, but you're going to leave me and you're going to have this bloke with 150 grand, which was a lot of money back in 1975, and I'll be still left here. So there was that, the FOMO, fear of missing out element that crept in then. And like I say, that's part of the character, isn't it?
Yeah. Glow. If my missus was getting beat by her brother, I'd sort him out. I don't
If
think
my
there was
missus
any
was getting
physical-
sorted out by my brother, then I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, 'cause that's the other. Sorry, that's the other thing with Paulie and Adrian's relationship. It's almost like they're like a couple, and he's domestically abusing her.
Yeah, because of being living together so long
Yeah,
that way. And again, they capture working class poverty very well. I mean, look at the size of the place that they live in.
Yeah,
Never mind
and
the place that Rocky lives in.
the state of his flat with the beer
Yeah.
bottles and
Oh, so it's captured very well. It adds so much to the characters, and yet it's simply part of the background of the world that they are representing.
yeah, I would agree. And I think when there's a bit of argument between them, the three of them, that again shined a bit of a light on the complexity between family and friends. When friends hook up with, like your best friend goes with your sister or a family member, it's a really complex situation because you love both of them and you can be kind of stuck in the middle sometimes. So I thought they showed that really well.
Yeah. And that, as you say, that appears all the way through the series. It doesn't disappear.
Not in Wales. In Wales, sisters and brother-in-laws and cousins, we're quite blasé about it, to be honest. But what I did find in the films was interesting was where the religious, where even like in the mid-70s, he rode out and he asked blessings from the priest. Yeah. And it's a time when and it's all poverty because they're all singing around there, and they got the fire on the go, and they're all singing out their songs in the bottom of the tenements, and everybody's skint and everybody's broke, and like they're still going to the priest at these times, you know. And there's something quaint. Maybe I don't know if quaint is the right word to describe it, like, but their lives are absolute shit, and they still, you know, working on the docks, really hard shit, like, and for crap money. Well, not crap, we weren't that bad, to be honest, apart from their part of town, Philadelphia, and that was obviously shit area and poverty. But to see somebody and they still having faith, like, it was just like quaint, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, maybe, I don't know, am I cynical, but like, yeah, to see anybody, can you imagine like somebody now, well, it wouldn't be a British boxer going to see popping around to the Church of England and help me out for what I'm gonna, you know, you could never ever see that happening these days.
But I take your point, and I think it would have been like that at that time in the States. It's harder to visualize that in this country, but certainly in the USA, I can visualize that.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
70s America is absolutely fascinating, and the different, when religions were going up against each other, and at that time, I guess so. Italian Catholics, and they probably, but man, I bet you there's nothing left in Philadelphia and stuff now of. You can't imagine like Roman Catholic churches and a lot of people going. It can never happen now, could it? But yeah, it's just like it's just like a world away. The 70s, New York, Philadelphia. Sorry, I keep saying New York, but like it's just like a total world away from where we are now. And it was a better world 50 years ago than where we are now.
And yet that world was pretty grim.
Yeah, it was grim.
Yeah, that says it all. Says it all.
It's fucking worse now.
Well, that's what I was going to add, Streaky. It tells us just how much things have deteriorated everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that movies can do if they're set in a contemporary situation like Rocky is.
Yeah, indeed, John. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I would agree. When you look back on it now, it's like a completely different planet.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it just? Because as even as some said a short while ago, even the gangster moneylender had heart. When they have that, with the day when he's getting married, he asks him about what is he going to do with the cash, and the gangster's advising him to put the money into condos, and he says, "I never used them."
To be fair, he played that part really well. I'd agree with Sensum with what he said, and he did come across as you kind of wanted more from him, to find out more about him, which is it's kind of points to the part being played really well. I kind of wanted a wee bit more from Apollo as well in terms of his background, but I think you get more of that in number 2.
You do. And 3.
Yeah. It was, condominiums. Like, you should get into condominiums. You know, plastics. It's like never used them.
I never use them. It's the way, but it's not just what is said; it's the way that it's said between them.
Yeah.
Both think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. At that point, he comes across like Trigger from Only Fools and Horses. You know, it just he just totally misses the point, you know. So if Trigger was a boxer, he would be Rocky. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's true.
probably. Yep. And I think when the other kind of henchman in the car, who's like, "Oh, I heard she was a retard. Take her to the zoo."
I've forgotten about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I'd forgotten about him as well. Because I think he's got maybe two lines, and he puts down Rocky and Adrian. So perhaps he's the villain.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, could be.
You remember when Rocky's doing an advertising campaign for some deodorant or cologne, whatever, and I think it's Rocky 2 or maybe 3 actually, and
it's 2.
Yeah, is it 2? And do you want to smell? What was this? Smell mainly, smell manly, and he he fucked the words up, and he's got a hat on, well, like John's got on actually. He's got a pork pie hat on and a long leather jacket. And if you like to smell mainly and instead of smell manly, and the guy's all over the place, and it's fucking great to see this, you know. But so I can't fault 3 films, the first 3 films, spot on. But Rocky for the more human. What you feel you can how can I say, the music, the atmosphere, like the jazz music that plays at the time, and you have the religion in it, talking to the father. It felt more working class, more earthy. The first Rocky for me was the best film.
Yeah, and of course there is that poignant scene when the two of them are in bed and he's reading from a paperback, trying to improve his reading skills. A Western. And all of that adds enormously to the character of Rocky, and yet it's a small scene done in a very small way. Just him trying to learn to read properly, or better than he can. Really great touches.
Yeah, because Adrian is training Rocky.
That's
in a
right.
way to be a kinder,
leading him,
and self-educated man.
Yeah. Well, I think we've kind of squeezed it dry, have we not, folks? Is there anything anyone would
I
like
feel
to
like my head feels like Rocky's been battering it now, John, to be honest.
add? Excellent.
Well, I'm just reading some of the trivia for this, and I know it's kind of cheating looking up the old IMDb, but this is one I had absolutely no idea about. Apparently, the iconic shot of Rocky running up the steps was part of film history, because the person that invented the Steadicam used footage of them going up and down the steps to help sell the concept of the Steadicam. And because of that shot and how it was so smooth, they sold it and obviously changed filmmaking forever. And then the folk behind the film saw it and recognized that would be a cool shot for the Rocky film.
Excellent.
Interesting.
And that person, and it was him and his girlfriend, they were involved in that sequence, filming that scene with the first Steadicam.
It is an iconic scene.
Yeah. Another thing that I didn't know about it, and I'm surprised nothing was said, that real life boxer Joe Frazier is in the scene of
At
Apollo's
the beginning. Yeah.
of Apollo's crowd, which is kind of cool. Being a
Smoking Joe.
being a non-boxing fan, I didn't know that, so I had no idea that he was there. But looking at the cast list, I was like, oh,
No, it's Smoking Joe. If you remember the beginning of the fight, which when we talk about criticisms, if I had one criticism about the film, the fight takes place over around about 12 minutes of the entire film, and it's great. And at the very beginning, when they're doing the ring walk, the bloke who comes into the ring and sort of shakes hands with Rocky and then goes over to Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed saying, he's saying to him, "You keep on dodging me, Apollo, you keep on dodging me." That's Smoking Joe Frazier, one of the absolute greats of heavyweight boxing. And there was, back in that sort of late 60s, early 70s era, there was Cassius Clay, also Muhammad Ali, known as Muhammad Ali, Smoking Joe Frazier and George Foreman, and they seemed to fight each other for a little while. And there was this huge rivalry between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. But what people don't realize is when Muhammad Ali was put in prison, Joe Frazier actually gave Muhammad Ali's family money so that they could, because he refused to. Once again, it was a bollocks draft. They drafted Muhammad Ali to go and fight in the Vietnam War, which was bollocks because it was all political, and that was because he'd signed up with the, was it the Nation of Islam or something? I can't remember the name of the guy, but Malcolm X's crew.
Pampers.
Yeah, but it was that sort of that wasn't highly select. It wasn't him. It was like some bloody known name at the time, and so it was a political thing to take away Muhammad Ali's, finest years that he could have. Well, take away his finest years because he was incarcerated during what would have been his prime years. And then obviously when he came out, there was a lot of the jokes where Muhammad Ali was sparring against a gorilla. And that wasn't even planned. It was just somebody had a stuffed gorilla toy. He said, "I'm fighting Joe Frazier." Yeah. And Joe Frazier took that quite personally. And he says, I'm no gorilla, as Joe Frazier would say. But it wasn't actually intended in that way. And Joe Frazier actually passed on. I think it was a couple of years before Muhammad Ali, who was, himself suffering dreadfully with Parkinson's disease. I think Smoking Joe died through liver cancer. And when Joe Frazier died, Muhammad Ali sent a message that said, "When I face my Lord, I want Joe. If I was to face any enemy in this world under the eyes of our Lord, I want Joe Frazier in my corner." And that just showed there was this commensurate respect there between those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
The thing is, the hell of it is. Sorry, Streaky. I'll just say this, and then you can say your thing. I don't know of any other sport where you can literally see two grown men and now women, but we'll ignore that shite. Two grown men whose mission for those 12 rounds or 15 back as it was, and before then there was no limit on rounds. I mean, you used to see Joe Davis fighting 40 odd rounds. I mean, it was ridiculous. Who at the end of that fight will come and embrace one another like brothers and genuinely mean it. Yeah. And the vast majority of the greatest boxers are some of the most gentle souls that you will ever meet. It is an absolute oxymoron of a sport where you will find these men who are like literally are gladiators, but who, when the job is done, have the humility and the conciliatory to embrace another man who's probably just beaten them up. Two of the greatest instances of that was Froch, Carl Froch, and what was the Danish bloke called again? You'll have to remind me.
Michael Kessler.
Kessler, that's it.
Michael Kessler.
You watch those two fights. Froch won one, Kessler won the other. Those two blokes, they had genuine respect and fondness for each other, even though they just try and twat hell out of each other. It's an like I say, it's an oxymoron of a sport. It really is. Sorry, Streaky. I'll let you carry on, mate. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, Kessler was a well-decent fighter. He'd been in some proper good scraps. And that's a good fight as well. Just after Calzaghe beat Lacey, Calzaghe and Kessler's a good scrap. Yeah, no, just what you were saying with Frazier and Ali and the respect they had for each other. At that time of boxing, for me, was a golden era of boxing. American, it was in the 70s. Rocky, he caught the zeitgeist of the time with that film, because in the mid 70s, like you had the super middleweights and the light heavyweights at the time. There was Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Iran Barkley, Thomas Hitman Hearns. Not so much Iran Barkley, but Hitman Hearns, and you'd four of these guys, and they would all could battle each other, and they were absolute fucking class. And yeah, for that time, like the mid 70s to late 70s, so Rocky come out, and it was just like riding on a wave at that time. It was the best boxing scene I'd ever. If I could ever recommend a round of boxing, it'd be like Hagler against Hearns. Yeah, the first 3 rounds, because it's like, have a look at the first 3 rounds, Hagler against Hearns, and absolutely amazing. And you got the commentary of the time, like the American commentators boxing, and it was such good fucking commentators as well. It wasn't all showbiz then. It had some meaning to it. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I got to say. It was a great scene attack. We had it later, maybe in the early 80s. We had a good lightweight scene, like super lightweight and heavyweight scene going on ourselves. But for me, the best boxing scene was like 70s America. Was absolutely fucking amazing. So yeah, that's Sensor's done in the chat. It was Hearns and Hagler. Have a look at the just what put that in after on YouTube, and you what a fucking amazing. This is the best. So that's all I gotta say. Sorry, I didn't really expect to be joining in. I should have been prepared more. And I hadn't watched Rocky since I was a kid, and I watched it loads and loads of times, but so I can't remember on so much of the intricate stuff about the scoreline and the producers, etc. Like, you know. So yeah, I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Everybody's got something to say, Streaky. That's the thing. That's a great thing about these movie reviews. Everyone's got something to add to it. That's what makes them so good, I think. It's not just 1 or 2 people hogging the limelight. Don't have a limelight to hog. So,
you better give Eki a call and tell him he's finished.
Tell him some drunken Welsh prick has replaced him.
We've got a replacement.
Do you know, I would just add, because I was looking up different bits of trivia, and remember Rocky's got 2 turtles in his house?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Like.
yeah, seemingly he's still got them today.
Really?
Yep, that was in the trivia that I read, and there was they used a dog in the film that was actually his dog at the time. I did also read. I don't know if any of yous have came across it, but seemingly the ending originally it was Rocky throwing the fight,
Really?
but then they changed it to going the full rounds but losing out by split decision. But him throwing the fight it would have never have been the same. I don't think
No.
it would have had a completely different feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost like a whole different film.
Yeah. Exactly. Because there had to be some sort of build up to why he might throw it.
Yeah, that's more the origin story of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Do you know, it crossed my mind when there's a scene when he goes to look at the kind of arena and he comes back and he's sitting on the bed and he's like, oh, I can't win this fight. He starts saying to Adrian, I can't win it. I can't beat him. And I think maybe we got a glimpse of that there. But, I mean, like you said, it would have been a completely different film. So I'm glad they changed it.
However, William, is that not the same scene when he then says, I just want to be standing there
Yeah.
at the end? Is that not the same scene?
Yeah, he wants to just see the
I
15
just want to
rounds.
be standing there. That he survived. But you're right. Perhaps if it had been thought of as a throwing the fight, that would have been the scene where it would have happened, where it would have been mentioned.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
The bit that always stood out for me is when he sits down in the corner mid-fight and he's like, I can't see. And he's like, the guy cuts his eye. So
Yeah.
so the swelling goes down.
Yeah.
I thought that was a
When-
great scene. In the scene when he puts his finger, he's got a dislocated finger and he pulls it right back. It sort of it gave me the bulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. He broke my nose again. It's strange that about films, isn't it, guys? That some films lend themselves to almost endless quotes from the dialogue.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's part. I mean, Rocky's part of film. You know, pop culture, and you would need to be living in a cave not to at least know a bit about the film
Yeah.
character.
That's why I find it quite astonishing, the money that got spent, but then what it went on to become. It kind of blows my mind.
I'd like to see the names of British dogs in 1976. And from 1976 onwards, how many dogs in Britain were called Rocky? Every fucking dog in the 80s.
Well,
Every fifth dog was called Rocky.
Streaky, our cat was called Rocky. That right, sir?
Yep. Best cat.
All after the film, it gave its name to domesticated animals everywhere then.
Oh, well, there you go.
I never heard of Rocky, but pre-76 animals called Rocky.
Yeah, well, that's what I used to shout out at night, trying to get him to come back. Shout out his name, Rocky! So there you go. You're quite right, Streaky, yet again. I'm sure we weren't the only ones who did that.
In Spain, they were all called Il Rocco.
Toffees, there's toffees adding to it.
Oh, there you go.
dog
Yeah, Toffee will tell you. There you go. Yeah, definitely every fucking bull terrier.
Liverpool was called the Rocky. Well, yeah. It shows you the impression that some films can have on folk. Amazing. Well, I think we have squeezed it for all it's worth, guys. Unless somebody's got anything else to add.
I'll
No, I
add this
think
wee bit. I'll add this wee bit of trivia.
Go on,
Apparently, when Rocky knocks down Creed in the first round, he doesn't go to a neutral corner until a good 10 seconds after Creed hit the canvas. This was critical because the referee cannot start the count until the fighter is in a neutral corner, as it took Creed to the count of 8 seconds to get up off the canvas. Had Rocky gone to a neutral corner immediately, Creed would have been counted out, and Rocky would have been champion via first round KO. So there you go.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Rocky should have won.
I think we should start a campaign.
You and all the others.
Okay, folks. Who is it says so as our keeper
Well,
of record?
We have a completely blank slate. So let's go through these topics again. We've got action, biopic, comedy, documentary, drama, fantasy, William's favourite, horror, sci-fi, sports, thriller, and western. And unfortunately, with a blank canvas in front of us, it's me. I can't
Really?
believe it. I've counted them all up. Yeah, it's me.
Nah, you fixed it. It's a fix.
Well, we missed out on a few, so I've counted it up, and it's definitely right. The order of appearance. So
Okay.
it's allegedly according to this. So we had looking at the board as it was before. Looking on here, so September 2023 was Gorky Park Me. And then on October 2023 was 12 Angry Men, which was you, John. Excuse me. On the 11th, so November's 2023 was Ghostbusters by Eki. The 12th was Samuel, Die Hard. December, I mean. And then in January, it was William, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then what was on 2?
The
It was
octopus movie.
Eki, A Fistful of Dollars. 3 was... Who was in 3? That was me, Pan's Labyrinth. That went down well. 4 was you, John, Dracula.
Yeah.
5 was My Octopus Teacher, which I think was Eki's. And then, obviously, at that point in time, I'd been ensconced into doing a load of shite.
Yeah.
So the
that
next
was it.
one was The Eyes of Orson Welles, which was Samuel.
Uh-huh.
And then Rocky, which is now.
Yeah.
So judging by the list of names, it's me.
Hey!
Next in the camera. So I've got a field of I've got a field of green. I don't know what I'm going to pick, but I'll tell you what I am going to do. I am going to pick one of the categories that everybody else hates, because in fact, I think I might do. I had a cracking. I thought when it was documentary, I thought it was me, but it wasn't. It was Eki. And then I thought this time around it's sports. I thought that's got to be me, but it wasn't. It was William. So I'll probably, the one I've got in mind, and I'm not going to say what it is just yet because I'm going to think about it, but the one I've got in mind could fit in sports or it could fit in documentary, because it's both. And I'll keep you all guessing. The first thing I'll do is I'll find out if it's available on a freely available stream so that everybody got a chance to watch it. And if it is, I'll make sure I'll pass it on to yourself, John, so that you and Samuel can watch it. I'll pass it on to yourself, William, so you'll have a chance to watch it. And then, Streaky, if you're going to make a guest appearance again, I'm certain you'll be in one or more of the chats where I actually am a moderator, which isn't Bonnie Lads chats. I'm not good enough to be a moderator in Bonnie Lads chats. I'll make sure you know what it is. We'll drop it in there.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. Cheers,
But
pal.
the one I'm thinking of is really good. I enjoyed it. I really did. It's a recent one as well, but it's really good.
And did you say you're going to pick one that everyone's going to hate?
No, I'm going to pick one from the categories that everybody seemed to hate, which, like I say, everybody wrinkled their nose at documentary, and the first one I picked, which was the K9, The Killer Mountain, that was a great film.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was brilliant. And then fantasy, yeah, that didn't go down well because I actually picked Pan's Labyrinth. So I really enjoyed that film, and everybody said, no, it's shite. I'm like, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, well, that's because you're a useless fat bastard. Okay, yeah, I am. And then we added sports. Do you remember when we added the sports category? Saying sports. There's no good films in sports apart from all of the Rockies, Any Given Sunday, Mean Machine, Escape to Victory. You know, there's none of them. No good films were made to good sports. So yeah, I'm gonna pick one, and I'll decide whether it goes in documentary or sports. But the one I've got in mind, I think it only came out in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, and I thought, oh, this is going to be shite. But I watched it because there was nothing else on, and I thought, you know what, I enjoyed that film. So I hope you do too. But if you enjoyed it as much as you enjoyed Pan's Labyrinth, it'll be a right downer. So, but anyway, yeah. So there you go, mate. It's me next time around. So
Okay, no.
unfortunately, and then I think, hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, it would be Samuel after. Would it be Samuel? Yeah, it'd be Samuel after that one. So yeah. So get your hands rubbing, Samuel.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to be picking sports or documentary, so you've got all of the goodies to think about.
Right.
You better pick something good and don't ridicule my fantasy choices. Anyway, John,
with Pans, I was honestly so disappointed. I thought I would like it.
But John's got it on DVD. How can you not like it?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It's been sitting in there for so many years unwatched, and then I watched it for the review, and it's like this is a real hard slog. I can barely watch this. It's like if it wasn't for this, it would be off. It would be off after half an hour.
I'll tell you what.
I bought it. I bought it because the person who was reviewing it compared the director to Orson Welles, and I thought, well, it'll likely be worth a watch. That's why I bought it. How wrong was
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really decent film, actually. But then you go,
oh yeah,
horses for courses.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good things in it. So there is. There's a lot of good things in it.
Yeah, I'll have to try and find around to Eki. I'll try and give him a chat because I noticed, well, unless I'm not getting notifications, but he hasn't done many streams recently. So try and badger him into submission, seeing what's going on there then. But
Well, you know, Eki, because of where he lives, anything could be going on.
yeah.
Got to always remember that. Never mind.
Yeah, but so we should have representation from the Principality, and we should make Streaky a regular contributor. What do you reckon?
Well, it's not just up to me. It's up to everyone. We could take a vote on it now, embarrass them. Okay.
You get my vote, Streaky.
Right, well, there's one vote. Well,
Yeah, you get mine. Yep, it's a yes.
well, that's two. Samuel.
Yeah, I don't mind if he's happy with it. If he's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might.
Well,
it
it's
may
my
give
channel.
me-
It's my channel. I overrule everyone. It's my channel. Who's doing all the coughing?
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
streaky.
Is that
He's,
you?
I've got,
he's pretending to be a vampire with all the coffee.
Ah.
I've
ah.
had a cold.
Terrible.
I've had
Okay,
a
then,
cold
Streaky.
for a week.
What
Thank you
we'll
very much.
do is we'll make a compromise. I'll put you on probation. You can be a part of the review panel on probation for 5 years. And if,
Yeah.
if you behave yourself for the whole 5 years, okay, I'll let you joke, of course. Yeah. You can
As
become,
long as it's not going to cost me anything, I'm okay. I'm not a big film buff.
well, we're not expecting you to buy any DVDs or anything.
That's all right. I'm not, as long as I'm not signed into anything dodgy like this. Yeah. Nice one. Thanks. I can. It'll give me something to keep sober for on a Friday. Actually.
Well, that's a good idea. I'd prefer that, Streaky.
I'm going to a the Heritage Party. I'm going to the conference tomorrow morning.
All right.
So
Good.
yeah, the David Curtin and
Yeah.
there's going to be a few guys from UK Column News speaking. That's what I really want to attend for. I want to say thank you to Brian Geddish and Mike Robinson of UK Column, and they're going to be speaking there throughout the nonsense we had to put up with the C-19. Them guys were on it straight away. When I thought I was just one of a few people losing my mind, thinking what is going on? Am I the only one? And I'm so excited about meeting these guys tomorrow morning because I watched UK Column News for years, and I seen David Curtin at a 15-minute city protest a couple of years ago. So yeah, so I'm trying to keep a cool head for that. So I thought if I could lock in here tonight, I'd keep me in a cool head. You give me a good frame of mind for tomorrow. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of food and if I can when I finish work on a Friday and chip in like this, I'm cool with it. I can watch a film in the week or whenever, it's no problem. I go on them dodgy fire sticks. I get I get all the films and everything for free and all that bullshit. I better not grass myself up before.
No.
Otherwise, Popper's kicking the door down.
Okay.
Sorry.
Toffee is reminding us we've got one last thing to do here. Thanks for that, Toffee. It went out of my mind.
Oh, rate the film. Yeah. I'd rate Rocky 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, 8.5 out of 10. William.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9? Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Make it a 9. Samuel?
It's a 9, or if you want a point, it's a 9.8.
Okay, 9.8. This is the highest we've had. Sensible.
Before Streaky said anything, I was thinking 8.5, and that's what I'm sticking to. Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah.
Copying folk again.
No, I had that number in my mind, and I wouldn't even if somebody else said it. I won't abuse my own morals.
Well, as nobody has asked me, I'll give it a 9.
Top ranker. Great film. Almost scored as highly as Pan's Labyrinth, John.
Oh, almost.
Jesus.
Listen,
Although I think
William, hang on a minute, William. Hang on. If you don't behave yourself, I'll put it up for my next pick. Pants backwards again,
Oh no.
and make you all watch it again.
Yeah, I think the octopus one got quite high.
Yeah, oh, that was a nice wee film. That was
Yeah.
a real surprise. Real surprise. Thanks for that, Toffee. I'd forgotten about the scoring. Yeah, so we now have a new member of our review panel, Streaky Bacon. So look forward to
Thank
that.
you.
So, any last words, Streaky, before I take you out of the stream?
No, none at all. I'm just gonna do some food and go and crash out and get up for an early start in the morning. And that's it. Pleasure to be here. Nice to see everybody in the chat and everything. And I'll catch you later.
Right, okie doke, Streaky. Bye just now. William, have you got any last words before we execute you?
I was just thinking that. What have I done now? Yeah, hey, it's been a pleasure to be on again. Every time I enjoy it. Even the Pan's Labyrinth was bearable. So it's great, and it's good to see a lot of engagement in regards to the film and what people think about it.
You better be
So yeah,
careful, by the way. Better
Yeah.
be very careful, because Samuel's favourite movie is Metropolis.
ooh, no comment.
Right, where can the folks catch up with you?
Yeah, they can catch me at That's Life, but not as we know it. And it's great to see some familiar faces. I did give the stream a wee bit of a plug earlier before we came on, so it's great to see folk here, and they won't regret it, that's for sure. And a pleasure, yeah, great to be back. Hopefully, sent some picks a good one. Time will tell. But yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks again, John. You're looking well. It's good to see everyone. And
Thank you.
thanks again to the people in the chat.
Well,
Take care.
thanks for the plug.
Cheers.
Well, Justine has subbed to the channel, so that's good news. She'll be back.
Yeah, you'll have to keep an eye on her though. She's trouble. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. She's a good one to have, and she's been a great supporter of my channel for many years now. So yeah, great to see her here, and hopefully you can get her on at some point. That would be great.
That would be really
yeah.
good. We'll
Cool.
see what we can do in that direction. Okay, doke, William. Thanks very much for being here as usual. Are you finished? You started back at college again?
Yeah, I'm still at college just now. So I've got like 3 modules to complete. So I'm hoping maybe the sooner the better I can get them finished. But I've got until like I think March next year. So I reckon I should be all good in the hood. And then depending on circumstances here, I'll probably go on to do my HND. So I'll let you know, and maybe we can talk about it a bit more another time.
Sure, no problem. Well, thanks again, folks, to William. Take care, William. Tell your good lady I was asking for her. Samuel, any last words?
This sounds a frightful ultimatum. But thanks to Streaky for coming on. That was fun hearing him for the first time. Thanks to everyone for being very, very active in chat. It's been great seeing your comments. And indeed, Metropolis, the 1920s film, is an absolute banger.
Before you leave, Samuel, have you seen the new one that they brought out with the slightly updated colouring and the synthwave soundtrack to it on Prime? I think it is.
the Morador version was actually the first one I saw. I saw that by chance on Channel 4 when they did Sci-Fi Weekend, introduced by David Charles, Craig Charles. And I instantly fell in love with it. I just loved it. Absolutely loved that colorized version. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion.
No, I enjoyed it.
It's the film I have the most copies of. I've got about 5 different DVD versions of it, and everyone's different. It's so sad, the story, that it'll never be complete. It's such a shame, but I love that film. I love that film.
Brilliant film and very prescient for these times. It was ahead of its time, literally.
Oh yeah. And I think that the colorized one is ideal for people that are interested in the film, because to be honest, the black and white ones with the traditional music score is a bit of a chore to get through. So the colorized one is a perfect leaping point.
Yeah,
it's much more action packed.
Quite.
Definitely.
Okay, doke, son. Thanks for that. And I'll see you in about a wee while. Sensom, any last words?
Yeah, I have got a little bit of housekeeping, because tomorrow night, it's a good job William left the stage before me, because he'd be giving me grief now. But I'm doing a double header tomorrow night. So 8 o'clock, I'm on with Scottish Tam and Bonnie Lad over on Bonnie Lad's channel for the Three Amigos stream, which is followed shortly after that on 42's channel for the end of the month stream. On Sunday, our good friend Ragnar Ironspear is having a chat with his mate Matt the Angry Bootneck on their end of the month stream. And our good friend Toffee, you've got James Hayworth up there. Toffee's doing Monday Night Raw on Monday with our good friend James Hayworth there. So that should be an intriguing one as well. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed this one. A great pick of film, and I've really enjoyed it, John. So thank you once again.
No problem. I think we've all enjoyed it, including most of the chat, if not all of the chat. And that's what we always hope for. I always hope for lots of engagement from the chat as well as our film reviewers. And now we've got a really interesting new film reviewer in Streaky. So it was, who was it? It was it was William who picked Rocky. That was the sports film that he picked. So that we have William to thank for. And just bring on the outro music, folks. As I say, I will next week be getting around to sending out these books to party members. And if you want one and you're not a party member, join the party and you'll get a copy. However, I just want to say thanks to all of you for being here tonight. Great to have your company, as always. Next week, I'll be here Tuesday, 9 o'clock, Friday, 9 o'clock. So until then, as I always like to say, adios, au revoir, cheerio. And till Tuesday, bye for now. Enjoy the music.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides the fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together
But
now,
love's much more
so much more
than we can know.
than we could ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But an important glow
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past of consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
all together now,
But we're much more
so much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But an important glow
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
Thank you for that, Justine. Thank you. Glad you like it. Keir Starmer has taken away my mother's cold weather payment, her bus pass and her single allowance discount for council tax. I'm livid. Holy shit. We'll talk about that Tuesday. Anglo, that's outrageous. Enjoy the rest of the weekend if you can, folks. Bye just now.